Absolutely, Ron. That's kind of a good way to put it, actually. It is, seems fairly simple on paper if you look at it. But when you get out there, we were talking in the run-up, you really need to have respect for your competitors around here to have a clean race. And it is kind of point and shoot around here. There are some difficult sections. And again, we were talking on the run-up about the curbs. And the curbs today, you can see there just Kalen Mikowitz touching that inside curb. We'll call them the red and white curbs on the inside. That green curb on the outside, though, Ron, that he just went over right there is going to be a problem tonight for a lot of drivers. And you see him navigate it there. I think maybe if you can get over it really quick, back and forth, depending on the right angle, you might be okay. It's still going to be a rough ride, but it might be okay. If you get right out there and belly the car out, though, well, you're going to high center it, and then you're not getting all contact, all wheels on the ground, and it's going to cause some problems trying to get back on the power, or perhaps even just keeping the car straight.
If you run off into those cacti curbs, you are going to be in for a world of hurt here. So keep an eye on that as we go throughout this race. Recently added 3D curbs have not been a very good change to this racetrack, at least for open wheelers. So sports cars may have a good time. These open wheel F3 cars certainly are not. 30 seconds left, though, here in qualifying, getting towards the end of this session for the second week in a row. Looks like Kayla Mikowitz will be able to grab the pole position here in this race. Terry Crouch set to start alongside him on the front row. Stephen Case, after a win in the sprint race last week at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, is fixing to start this race in P3 as Max Lotto shooting up to second in the dying breaths of this session. Didn't see that lap time coming out of the blue. Just barely got out in front of Terry Crouch by a thousandth of a second. Awesome lap time there from Max Lotto as we switch away from this qualifying session and move off into the first of the two races here this evening, the sprint race. Here is your starting grid. Kayla Mikowitz starting from the pole for the second week in a row. Max Lotto going to join him on the front row. Terry Crouch will start in third next to Stephen Case there in P4. Isaac Gardner will be in fifth. Jason Green, feature race winner last time out at Barcelona, will start in sixth. Skylar Vickroy will be in P7. Chris Egerton ninth with Tyrone Da Silva and Alex Velasco completing your top 10. Josh?
And then actually, I think we missed 12 there, but 13, James McDonald will start in 13th from Canada. We have Enrique Vela in 14th. 15th place will be Adam Duval. Jason Cotcher in 16th place, the captain himself with a new livery tonight. Actually, we'll keep an eye out for those. I believe there's another one out there as well. His teammate Chris Wang in 17th place. In 18th, we have Nathan Perkins. In 19th, Jose Neves Molina in 20th. Kenan Miller in 21st place. We'll have Michelle Lin in 22nd. Diago Posada in 23rd. We have Kulker and Dillon. And in 24th, Thomas Brashear.
I will say those two drivers we missed out on, Joshua Corwin starting this race in 11th, and Adrian Lopez 007. James Bond will start this race in P12. There you can see your drivers lining up now on the starting grid, waiting for the green flag to come out here with the lights illuminating here at the Red Bull Ring. 5 lights on, 5 lights out, green flag flies, and the drivers are on their way. Pretty good start there from Mikowitz, chopping across the nose of Max Lotto and downtown into turn number 1. Already side by side throughout the pack, drivers looking for some good moves. James McDonald, our SMB colleague, already with the black flag there down in 12th. Jose Navas not taking the start. Tyrone Da Silva down in pit lane. Josh Corwin also in pit lane as well. And Max Lotto looking for it around the outside, up the hill into turn number 3, looking for the race lead on the outside of Kayla Mikowitz as Stephen Case looking to hold on to third. A little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump there on the outside curb from Lotto. Not able to take the race lead, now clinging on to second.
A fantastic start here for this pretty much entire pack here so far. Some little bit of jockeying for position there into that first corner, and we're going to sort it out here with the Lego car in the 59 now, just getting outside. Isaac Gardner is going to lose it completely here into the kitty litter a little bit. He's going to have to get that car turned around and back on track. Just getting a little wide, perhaps those curbs finding their first victim here tonight. But Kalen Mikowitz out front. Leading. What a great start here from Lotto, Mikowitz, and Case. Getting a little bit argy-bargy there. No contact or anything, but side by side. And they're going to sort it out here now and probably be happy for the first lap or two to follow each other and play draft a little bit, as we're seeing there. The number 9, I believe, of Max Lotto there getting over that curb. Going to lose a bit of time to Stephen Case on the attack now.
Yeah, so as we complete the first lap, it's Michaelowicz in front of Maxlin Lotto, in front of Stephen Case. James McDonald sinking his way down the running order as a result of that black flag, going to sink down outside of the top 20. Isaac Gardner now directly up in front of him as we have a little battle right now for P2. Stephen Case, your reigning champion here in this series, the only champion in the history of the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship. Now 4 wins in a row, 4 championship wins in a row, that is, looking for his 5th. However, Jason Green, who chased him down all the way through to the end of last season, looking for a little bit more here in this campaign. Keep an eye on those two throughout the rest of the season, currently holding on to P3 and P4 here in this race. Halfway through the second lap right now, we're seeing some battles go on throughout this field. Drivers definitely playing hopscotch at the start of this race.
Yeah, some battles going on for sure. Looks like actually somebody falling down the order here, perhaps. I'm not sure who that's going to be further down the pack. We may have an incident there. We'll get back to at some point. But you can see on our timing tower there, things are pretty tight. So you've got those orange numbers that you're seeing are going to be our closest battles on track. And then you're going to see those yellow numbers are a little bit farther away. And then white being the farthest away there. You can see some of them growing, some of them shrinking. But Stephen Case here, not doing too bad. Wasn't able to actually monopolize on that little mistake from Maxlin Lotto in front of him. So he's still going to hold on to that position. I'm wondering, if that's kind of where you want to be at this point in the race. You kind of just want to get into a pack here and see if you can get away from the likes of Skylar Vickroy, Terry Crouch, and Alex Velasco. Because if that pack catches up to this group here, we're going to be we are definitely going to have some more jockeying for position for sure, and it's very likely to make a little mistake into some of these corners. As you can see there, Case getting those brake discs red hot. It's going to be happening a lot of point and shoot around here. Like I was saying on the run up, you're on the brakes really hard, get that car slowed down, and then back on the gas and trying to get that exit as good as you can, because they're very important around here as well.
And since we catch up on the replays, we'll let you know what has gone down so far here in this race at the Red Bull Ring. It's been a pretty smooth start for some, not for others, as Nathan Perkins with a wild ride there on the outside gravel trap heading through the mid-sector. I spoke too soon.
Salacious crash there for Perkins, end over end. That was a big one for sure. Thomas Brashear here looking like maybe he's kept his car clean there, so perhaps locked it down and was able to keep that clean. We're going to have another look here. So up in front, we are going to have the 14. And it looks like just in avoidance, unfortunately, Michelle Lynn and Perkins trying to get out of the way of that incident in front of them. Perhaps Perkins not wowing up quite enough there, maybe trying to monopolize. Now it's going to be Chris Wang. That's actually going to just be, that was a wild incident, Ron. One of the bigger incidents I've seen in F3, I think, so far. Not exactly sure what kicked that off. So it looks like a re-entry, doesn't it, guys? It looks like a re-entry there, and he's going to lose it coming over that curb, and just unfortunately nowhere for Chris Wang to go in the 14, and he's going to climb up the back, do a little bit of a rodeo ride here for a second, can't hold on to her, and then boom, unfortunately Michelle Lynn is going to get into that with Perkins, and Perkins is going to be counting his lucky stars. He's got in the washing machine on that one.
Yeah, we got to take a look at another replay of this. This is from Nathan Perkins' perspective in the 15. This is where things get nuts. You can see that spin cycle right up in front. Michelle Lynn, really nowhere that she could have gone. Certainly nowhere that Nathan Perkins could have gone. Sky, ground, sky, ground, sky, ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And, all he had to do was hold up a little bit there, that student driver on the side. If I had one tip, it would be when there's a car crashing in front of you there, it's that you just got to slow down sometimes. And it looks like an opportunity. We've all been there. It's easy to do, to get target fixed and decide that you're going to go for a gap. And it just unfortunately didn't work out there. Two cars avoiding the same piece of track and going to have a bigger accident than the initial one, I'd have to say. And sometimes that's just the way it works. But Jason Green here still holding down 4th place just behind Maxlin Lotto. Scarlett Vickroy as well as Terry Croucher looking like they're making up a little bit of time perhaps on this pack. So as Kalen Michaelowicz seems to be slightly pulling away, this other pack seems to kind of be coming together. And there's that other new livery for the captain and the grandpa team here. So Terry Crouch out there in a really nice looking copper and black livery there this time with the SRG logos on the side. Pretty nice stuff.
Yeah, we got some darn good looking liveries up and down the grid here in this championship. But at the moment, everybody's just looking to have a smooth start to the night. You know, we already talked at length about those curbs around this racetrack that are going to bite these drivers where the sun does not shine. We've already seen a little bit of it already here in this race. So can't get ahead of yourselves right now. This is where you got to just stay with it and try and have a good run throughout the rest of the night. But keeping an eye on this battle, Terry Crouch, who started up towards the top end of the running order, has fallen down a little bit, down 3 spots from where he started in this race. So holding on to a spot just barely outside of the top 5, though, may look for it once more as Skylar Vickroy in that number 28 machine is going to look to try and get it done. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field is still Galen Mikowitz holding on to the top spot in that number 76 machine, holding on to that race lead now by 2 seconds. You know, off the back of the pole that he got at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya 1 week ago, wasn't able to convert it into either a sprint race or feature race victory. So I think he's looking to change that and buck that trend just a little bit, although lockup saying down to turn number 3, not going to help out his case there.
Yeah, definitely found some speed for sure. Kalen has in the last mile, and I'm actually gonna have to correct both of us on the pronunciation of his last name here. Just getting it, it's actually Mikovich, and we're gonna have to apologize for calling him Mikowitz, and I believe probably a few other names as well in the last little while. So we're gonna correct that one now, and yeah, just to finish up the thought there, definitely Ron, he has found some speed.
See, I have gone back in the archives because I was curious about this. So I've been calling him Michaelwitz for a while, and I do apologize for that. According to the information that we were given many, many moons ago, right as the F4 League was the only SRG series, and of course the only one being broadcasted here on SMB, we were given a sheet back before everything was organized into just one category. Is back in the Inter-Alien days where we were told it was Mick Wicks. So that was the pronunciation that we were given. So we'll run with Mikowitz throughout this broadcast. But at the moment, as he's looking to drive away, the battling for the final 2 podium spots is starting to get dicey. This Stephen Case and Max Linlado. Linlado getting a good run as he headed his way out of turn number 1, tucked in the draft, now pulling out to try and get the move done. He tried to go for this maneuver around the outside into turn number 3 a bit earlier on here in this race. Going around the outside with the trailer parks, not able to make it work there. P3 still for Max Linlado, but he had a good run heading out of the turn 3. Always real awkward if you can get a good run heading out of there down the hill into the next heavy braking zone. You could still have a chance, but Stephen Case able to position that car exactly where he needs to hold on to that second place spot.
Yeah, a little bit of testing the waters there for sure for Case and Max Linlado, and he's still going to keep hunting him here. You know, through this section here, one of my favorite sections. This is definitely the fun part of Red Bull Ring for me, and you want to stay away from that inside curb on that on the green part during this race in this car particularly. Usually you'd be wanting to take a lot more curb around here, and I'm sure some of these drivers have had to kind of adapt to that a bit as we're actually going to go on board with Linlado as he goes over that curb, and you can see it. It is a bit of a rodeo moment there where you're hoping that the car is going to keep pointing forward, that momentum keeps going forward, and he lost a bit of time on it too, so he's going to have to try to gather that back up, see if he can get this draft working for him down the next straight. He's going to get a really good one. No, unfortunately, too much curb on the inside. Oh! He's going to take another big hit. And that's going to be, I believe, I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to call it out right away. I think that was Crouch. Terry Crouch is going to take that one on the nose, unfortunately, literally and figuratively. So unfortunate. So easy to do through there. So just a little bit too shallow of a line, a little bit greedy on that inside curb. Unsettles the car. It's going to end in a big one.
Yeah, and so disastrous for both drivers involved. It's the turn 1 curb that's always pretty brutal. It's, and Terry Crouch.
50-50 chance. Oof.
Yeah, tried to split the difference, split his differential, and tipped over. Unfortunate for Crouch. That is the quintessential falling anvil coming down for him. And Stephen Case now pretty much all by himself there in P2. Now, Jason Green only 9/10 back, but Again, he's 9/10 back. I'm not real sure if we are going to see a battle go on between those drivers between now and the end of this race, but disaster for Max Lotto. He was putting on a very good drive, was that driver of the number 9 machine. Had been looking for second many times before, but just dropped as he headed his way out of that first turn. As we take a look at Josh Corwin dropping it, heading out of the final turn, just loses it around. It's again that curb on the outside. It's not only, the car gang upset and car gang a little bit damaged as you head your way through there as well. It's that grip. It is going to be so, kind of up in the air whenever you try and stab the throttle heading out of these turns.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, Ron. Like even on a good day before these 3D curbs, that was one of the harder things to do around here. Something you have on your mind the entire race is trying to feather that throttle and how much the car is going to give you when you're exiting those corners, sometimes in not the best orientation, because you are having to really get on the brakes into these corners to maximize the lap as well. It's not something that you can just kind of go around. You really do have to get on the brakes hard and hit them at the right point and be very precise about it, and it's easy to miss it. And if you miss it, then you're kind of on the back foot on exit, and it's easy to kind of put a foot wrong, let's say, especially now with those 3D curbs out there. Just on board here now with Skylar Vickroy, looks like he's got a pretty good line out there chasing down Jason Green. Not able to do too much with the gap there that he's had. It hasn't really kind of maybe elasticing a little bit back and forth, but hasn't really been able to monopolize on it quite yet. Those gaps kind of evening out at the moment, if you ask me. And that, I think up front here though, Kalen Mikowitz is definitely taken off, isn't he?
Yeah, 4.5 seconds is his lead at the moment. He has checked out from the field. There you can see him right now, all by his lonesome, hanging down the straightaway between Nicky Lauda of turn number 1 up the hill into 2 and 3. As this is going on, though, for Kalen Mikowitz, you've still got some battles sprinkled throughout the pack, and here's one of them that may get hot here quite soon. It's actually for the transfer spot to make it in and grab the pole for the feature race with that top 6 invert. It's Jason Cotcher and Adrian Lopez currently battling for 6th at the moment. So the captain going and battling hard with Lopez there in the 007 machine. Alex Velasco was holding on to this spot a matter of 1 lap ago, but clearly a falling anvil has struck upon that driver of the 777 machine. So looks like these two are going to be the ones having to duke it out, and the white flag will be in the air this time around. So not a lot of time left for Jason Cotcher to try and defend that spot from Adrian Lopez. And on the inverse, not a lot of time left for Adrian Lopez to try and get this move done. Certainly getting into crunch time for both of those drivers. We'll see what they can try and do. White flag out in the air for Kalen Mikowitz as he tries to round off what has been a dominant sprint race.
Yeah, definitely class of the field out here for sure. So I would imagine he did a little bit of practice this week around here. Maybe this is one of his favorite tracks, but back to this battle here. Actually, this is going to be the final lap to get it done here. Not going to be an easy one to pass around here. It's not easy to pass. It's easy to defend around here. And you really just have to kind of force someone almost into a mistake or get a better exit is usually the way that I try to do it around here, because you're going to get that switchback, aren't you, Ron? A lot of the time, if you can get them on braking into one of these corners, you're going to lose it by the time you get to the next corner. So you really do kind of want to try and time it just right here as the 007 looking around. And he is going to try that undercut, and there's that exit we were talking about as well. He's getting on the grip, just on the edge of grip there, wiggling around just a little bit. And he's going to get a pretty good run on Jason here into this corner. I'm not sure if he's going to have it, though. He's going to look on the inside, back to the outside. Nope, not going to take the bait quite that time. So we'll see if he can get a run just before the end here, maybe down the front straight. This is not an area through here you want to make a pass, but sometimes you can force somebody into a mistake.
Yeah, running out of opportunities right now, so I think it may be too late for Adrian Lopez to try and make his way up into that P6 spot at the end of the sprint race to start the feature from the pole. But Kalen Mikowitz, he's happy to start that race in 6th because he just won the sprint race in comfortable fashion up at the front of the field. Meanwhile, Jason Cotcher heading his way off through the final turn right about now. It is razor thin between these two drivers at the end of this first 15-minute long race of the night, but Cotcher gets the nose out 0.2 of a second. The margin at the very end, things got close, things got tight. Things are getting tight a little bit farther in the back as there is a titanic battle between Terry Crouch, Nathan Perkins, and Christopher Wang. I think I saw a slowdown there in the midst of all of that. Terry Crouch ended up in 20th, got the nose out of Nathan Perkins, who got the nose out in front of Chris Wang. Those cars wounded at the end. Same could be said about Tyrone Da Silva. He ends up in 12th with a missing front nose.
Yeah, unfortunately, he made it across the line there for sure, but missing some parts of the car there. Still able to almost get inside the top 10 there. James McDonald going to end up in 14th out there tonight. Not an easy track. You can see, they started obviously pretty close together around those first two laps. Looked like we were going to have maybe some draft trains and a lot more passing, but this place it's difficult. It's difficult to hit those marks every single lap, and the corners really filter down to kind of one line, and there's one really fast line around here that clearly Kalen Mikowitz has found tonight, and we actually ended up with a kind of spread out grid there by the end. So we'll see if they learned anything here through our warm-up session. I'm sure they have, and they'll go out and we get a bit of a flip grid here, of course, as well, and we'll see how that one works out. Should be a pretty interesting feature race here, I think.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a very interesting 25-minute long feature race coming up here. In the meantime, we are in warm-up, so we'll use this as an opportunity to take a look at your race results from that sprint race. 15 minutes, it always packs a punch. That certainly did in that race, between a couple of incidents, some airborne moments as well, and a dominant race winner. Here's how they stood at the very end. Kayla Mikowitz, ends up grabbing the victory. 5.2 seconds is the margin between he and Stephen Case. Jason Green rounds at your podium in third. Skylar Vickroy will end up in P4 in front of Chris Eggert, rounding at top 5. Jason Cotcher, Captain Cotcher, will grab the invert pole for that feature race, ends up in 6th at the end of the sprint. Adrian Lopez, first man out, he's there in 7th. Adam Duvall in 8th, with Isaac Gardner and Kevin Miller rounding at your top 10.
Yeah, and then in 11th, we have Alex Velasco. In 12th, we have Tyrone Da Silva. Culker Dillon will bring home 13th. James McDonald in 14th. Thomas Brashear in 15th. Diego Posada will bring home 16th. 17th is Enrique Vela. And 18th is Michelle Lynn in the Dulldime Racing Machine. And 19th, we have Max Lotto. Terry Crouch with a absolutely amazing crash there. Unfortunately, nose-to-nose with another car. Will bring home 20th. We're expecting him to come through the field a little bit there in the next one. Nathan Perkins as well, one of the biggest crashes we've seen in F3, will take home 21st. Chris Wang also getting caught up in that schmozzle there, is going to end up a lap down as well. Jose Navas Molina, who we didn't really talk too much about tonight, is going to bring home 23rd. Be hoping for some more of him as well. And Joshua Corwin in 14th, 4 laps down from that early incident.
Yeah, so those are your results as we take a look there at we'll take a look at your championship standings. A little bit of double vision there. Give me a case of that double vision. Here we go. It's Kayla Mikowitz holding on to the championship points lead right now. There we go. We'll start off with your team's point standings here. It's the Magnets leading it at the current moment. 1 point the margin between your top two in the team standings. Now, granted, we are one race into this season. Well, as of these points that were up to date entering this race. So, you can take that with however many grains of salt you want. The captain of the Grandpa slotted there in P2, Dulldime Racing. That Michelle Lynn and Jason Green team is in third. Take a quick little gander at your driver's points heading into this race. Kayla Mikowitz, your points leader there. 74 points is his tally. Jason Green is in second. Terry Crouch in third. Varun Bali in fourth, with Traber Burns in fifth. You can see, obviously, very early on into this season, can't read too much into this, but we know it is going to be very competitive. It feels almost like Stephen Case versus the world heading off of the season after 4 straight championships. Somebody trying to prevent that run of dominance to make sure he doesn't get a fifth. But those astute viewers may notice a new logo up there in the top right corner here of this broadcast. Well, I'll let you all know that tonight's broadcast of the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship is sponsored by Dillon Motorsports Tire and Auto. As a top-rated and award-winning service center, Dillon Motorsports knows that auto service isn't just about the present, it's about the future as well. From star certifications to simple maintenance, you'll be covered with some of the friendliest service in the Bay Area with a focus on customer satisfaction. Dillon Motorsports and Tire, serving San Jose, Santa Clara, Willow Glen, and beyond. We want to thank Dillon Motorsports for sponsoring this broadcast, and of course, the fine folks at Sim Racers Group for organizing this, another San Jose-based business. You know, funnily enough, I was looking into this. I believe it's an 8-minute drive between Dillon Motorsports and Tire and SRG's HQ there in San Jose. And of course, you may recognize the name. It's Kukaran Dillon, who's one of the drivers here in this series. Going to be again up and rolling for what is going to be a pretty festive feature race here momentarily, Josh. I think we already got a small little appetizer, an hors d'oeuvre, if you would. Now, though, we're going to have that main course. What do you think that main course is going to be? Is it going to be a juicy steak, or is it going to be some weird escargot?
Well, you know, we're hoping for a juicy steak, but you never know. You might get escargot around Red Bull Ring. You really never know around here. I have seen this place has chewed up and spit out some of the best sim racers I have seen and race with. It's not an easy one. This split grid too, or sorry, the flip grid for this one is you just really have to make sure that you're really on your toes. It is going to make things a little bit more frenetic, and you really have to be on your toes, have your head on a swivel. You know, you want to be able to optimize those potential mistakes around you, or you know, the people maybe out of place where they should be, but you also don't want to miss out by making a mistake or diving somewhere you shouldn't be, or you shouldn't have your nose. So real easy to do around here, Ron. So I'm going with a steak, but you never know what you might get sometimes.
Well, let's break out the knives and see what we get served. Jason Cotcher going to start from the pole position. Chris Eggert going to join him on the front row. Skylar Vickroy will be in third. Jason Green alongside him, completing row number 2. Row 3 will be Stephen Case and Kayla Mikowitz. Row number 4 will be Adrian Lopez and Adam Duvall. Isaac Gardner will start this race in 9th. Kenan Miller runs at your top 10, with Alex Velasco starting this race in 11th. Tyrone De Silva there in spot number 12. Kukaran Dillon will start this race in 13th place. Next to him will be James McDonald. Thomas Brashear in 15th place. Diego Posada in 16th. Enrique Vela in 17th. Michelle Lynn in P18. Philly represent. Max Lindlado in 19th. Terry Crouch runs at your top 20 with Nathan Perkins. Chris Wang 21st and 22nd. Jose Navas 23rd. And Joshua Corwin completing our 24 drivers starting grid here for the feature. Waiting for the green flag to come and the lights to go out here for this feature race. We're waiting for many, many moons. The green flag flies and the drivers are on their way. Good start there from Egger, trying to lead it down to turn number 1, but Jason Cotcher not letting off quite yet. They're side by side down through turn number 1. Skylar Vickroy comfortable in third, as it's still side by side pandemonium throughout the rest of the field. Isaac Gardner down in pit lane already did not take the start to this race. So Jason Cotcher and Eggert still side by side as they head their way up the hill into the heavy braking zone of turn number 3. It is close. It is very, very close. Eggert, small little lockup, and they're still overlapped as they head their way through the top end of the racetrack.
Yeah, lots of overlap there, and you can see Eggert locking up, just nipping a lock up on that inside wheel there, getting the brakes pretty much perfect. And he's going to get them again here down into the next corner and be able to lead out of their. Case and Green getting into each other in the background, and I believe I actually saw Cotcher take a little bit of some curb there as well, a little wider than one would want to. So that's going to kind of pack things up behind them here a little bit. It's looking like we're going to have some more battles back there. We'll definitely get a replay on that connection back there between Case and Jason Green when we can for you. But Chris Eggert's going to lead this one with some pretty precise braking down into the first couple corners there on cold tires.
Yes, a good start for Eggert, able to withstand that pressure at the start of this race. Your top two breaking away. Skylar Vickroy now holding on to second with a 1.2-second margin. Jason Cotcher getting attacked, heading through the final few turns, ran wide off through the penultimate turn, and that got overtaken into the final one. Kayla Mikowitz jumping up into P3 as it is pandemonium as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway. Drivers swapping sides like they're flipping burgers. Side by side for fourth, Velasco and Adrian Lopez starting to squabble with one another. Stephen Case sinking his way down the running order right now. Pandemonium breaking out here at the Red Bull Ring. I think the drivers may have drunk a little bit too much Red Bull here, as in all that, Kayla Mikowitz able to hold on to P3 as a big lockup down there into turn number 3. Drivers still testing their luck.
Yeah, side by side as we go down here, Jason Cotcher, and I believe that is Adrian Lopez in the 007, Alex Velasco just out in front of them. This is where things get difficult around Red Bull Ring, Ron. You find yourself sometimes almost stuck beside the person. You can't just let off. You don't want to let off. There's a guy in front of you. You can't quite get there. You don't want to go side by side through these corners. You can see now this group of cars starting to pack up a little bit. Every corner that you end up racing to the apex with here is going to slow you down if you're side by side, and that group of cars behind you will get bigger and bigger and bigger in your rear view mirror until you're having to fight them as well. And it can just kind of get worse and worse like that, as we're seeing Cotcher slipping back just a little bit now, while some other side-by-side racing here with Adam Duvall, and I believe that's Kenan Miller just up in front of him, got a good draft of Adam Duvall he'll have here down the front straightaway. Both going to take a little bit of extra curb there, and that's going to hurt both of them here, so we'll see how this one works out. But they're going to get side-by-side into T1, Ron.
You know, I was wondering whether this race was going to be a juicy steak or some weird escargot. We've somehow found a middle ground. We're getting into something rather peculiar. We're basically being served penguin meat here in this race. It has been very strange so far. Max Linlotto still in the middle of this fight as Kenan Miller and James McDonald right around him, as Miller trying to get that spot down into the turn, not able to make it work, as you also have James McDonald directly behind looking to try and get this move done. As we take a look to see drama involving Nathan Perkins. This is at the start of this race. Big checkup down there into turn number 1. And that's a problem with those drivers that are going side by side farther up the road. It's always going to lead to a little bit of argy-bargy, you go, no, you go, no, you go, heading down there at the other start of this race. As we take a look to see the two main championship rivals from last season colliding. Is Jason Green trying to make something work on the inside of Stephen Case, and some disgusting netcode there.
Yeah, really unfortunate there, and it looks like maybe Jason Green getting away with it damage-wise at least, but Case going to lose a piece of his front wing there by the looks of it. Let's get a good look here. Yeah, we're getting like a tire's worth of net code there again. You know, when you're seeing the green and the blue car of Stephen Case spinning in the background, you're not really usually thinking that either one of them put a foot wrong there. And sure enough, it was a little bit of net code there. As we're getting some side by side into T1 there. Max and Lotto going to take the position from Adam Duvall. So a little bit of a mix up there since we've even cut away. So Miller is going to be just behind those two now, in front, and James McDonald also in this mix as well. So much more of a frenetic and a lot more passing going on here in the feature. I would imagine that's going to be because you know, they got a little bit of practice out there in the first one. You can kind of find your braking points a little better, and you're going to have probably a little bit of a better lap time. And then of course with our flip grid as well, you have an incident like that between two of the top players, and you're going to end up having a pretty interesting race sometimes. Sort of like F1, you know, if you get those, you take some of those top players out, or if they take each other out, well, it really opens the door for some other drivers out there, doesn't it, Ron?
See, the main difference between this and Formula One is that this is exciting. As we take a look at what happened to Stephen Case, we saw him sinking his way down the running order, and there you can see it right there, stopped on the inside, missing side pod on that race car, and thankfully able to pick up 2 spots right away. As you can see, a little bit of drama heading off through turn number 1. This Cooper Rondell into the number 24 machine, locked up there on the inside. Michelle Lynn had to drop the anchors to try and avoid it, as more drivers piling into that. I believe that may have been Terry Crouch that was involved in that incident there. You could see him spinning in the background there in that copper and black machine, as that's the code brown moment for Michelle, heading her way off through turn number 1. Yeah, somehow, some way.
That was quite the four-wheel lock up there on an angle. She locks it down, four-wheel slide, just skirts around the Monster Energy car and gets away with it. So, you know, we talk about Michelle Lynn in a few different series around here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and she has a tendency to, and it's not her fault, you know, I'm not instigating or insinuating that at all, that, you know, she's had some anvils in a couple series here, and she perhaps now has a second sense for it and is able to sort of matrix herself out of those situations now. So that's great to see that she got away with that one at least. But back here with Skylar Vicroy up front now. So huge mix up front. And wow, this one's really just kind of been knocked open, Ron. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Hard to keep up with even.
See, I have a theory about Michelle being able to detect those falling anvils. So without doxing her, I'll just say that I know the area of Philadelphia she's from, and the area that she is in question is home to most of the radio and television towers that we have here in the city of Philadelphia. So whenever you're there, you can feel that sort of energy going through your body. It's like a slight disturbance in the force. It's like whenever your power goes off and you have to have your mobile data on your telephone to try and get any sort of connection, and you can feel it in an odd way going through your body. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like she's hit the point where, much like how most people can feel radio waves going through their body whenever they're standing right by a TV tower, I think she's able to sense the energy of a falling anvil, and she knows how to deflect one. Because sometimes I feel bad for her, because I've usually been the one dispatching those falling anvils towards her, unintentionally, mind you, but I've still been doing it either way. It has been like Looney Tunes levels of shenanigans going on with that. So thankfully, she was able to avoid that, still holding on to a good result right now. Skylar Vicroy, your current race leader, feeling a little bit of pressure here. Kayla Michaelwitz still there right behind the driver of the number 76 car, looking to pull off the double, become the only driver to do this so far this season, get the pole, the sprint race win, and the feature race victory. It was all three different names last time at Barcelona. Now Michaelwitz looking to sweep the board.
Yeah, it looks like he's in pretty good position here as well. Definitely got the pace around here. Skylar Vicroy under a ton of pressure right now here through the final curbs here. About 8 minutes into a 25 minutes. So there's quite a bit of time left here to get it done, but he is in draft range. He is going to look up the inside here. You know, this is one of those corners. Somebody gets up the inside of you, you pretty much just let him have it, or you're going to lose a bunch of time. And that's pretty much what he is going to do here, and file in behind. And then you really do have a good shot at the next corner here if you can get right in behind him and get a draft. That's kind of the nature of this track. If you have two drivers here who sort of know that, you can kind of undercut each other back and forth. And it's difficult, real difficult, to get around somebody and make it stick until the end of the lap. Chris Eggert now also still holding on to the back of this train. So clearly found some speed out here today. Able to hold on to these two drivers. We'll see if he can make this work, if he can find something extra out there, and see if he can keep up with Kayla Michaelwitz and Skylar Vicroy as they're figuring it out here. Looks like Michaelwitz taking a bit of a smoother line through some of these corners here. We'll keep an eye on that though, and their lap times here, and just see exactly how they are going to work this one out. You can see sort of the ebb and flow there of the way even that corner was working, where you got a bit of an early entry from the car in front, a bit of a late entry from the car in back, and they're going to sort of ebb and flow a bit. Actually, Eggert losing out a little bit on that particular line that time. Not an easy section to get through there and hit all those marks. It is kind of piff-paff left and right, and you really do have to use a bit of the curb, but not too much in these cars through there. And it's a difficult prospect for sure. Final corner being one of the hardest around here for sure, as we saw a little bit earlier with that spin on the inside. Alex Velasco also looking down the barrel here towards them on a bit of an island of his own. Jason Cotcher leading this other pack of F3 cars with Adrian Lopez just bringing up the back here. We'll see if these guys as well going to get into a battle, I'm sure, before the end of the race here. So many opportunities around this track.
Yeah, we're heading off into one of the best overtaking opportunities of the lap. Turn number 3, Max Linlotto looking to pull off the Linlotto move around the outside. He's tried to do that so many times throughout the night. May be able to make it work on Cotcher. He gets a better exit heading at turn number 3, and he'll punch his ticket up there into 5th. But Cotcher gonna look to try and fight back. The two drivers chasing each other's tails as they head their way down to turn number 4. A little bit of 3 wide racing as they head their way through the braking zone. Linlotto Lotto escapes. Cotcher does not, as Adrian Lopez looking for the move here. These two battling for 6th. Where have I seen this before?
Yeah, there's a back and forth there as well. He's going to hold the inside there, a little bit tentative, doesn't want to run into the captain. And you definitely don't want to run into the captain, I don't think. You don't want to run into the guy, you know, whose rigs you're sitting in down there, perhaps at the sim center, and they're racing each other really clean. Of course, I'm just joking there. They're going to race each other as hard as they need to, but you can see sort of the way that ebb and flows back and forth there. Jason Cotcher taking a bit of a stab at the car in front, and then loses a bunch of time when it doesn't work out for you. Kenan Miller now under a bunch of pressure with some cars behind him here. You know, you do not want to be in your mirrors into the braking zones in this on this track at all, and it's really, really hard to do. You can see even, you know, on the last pass attempt we saw there, where you can see the 007 kind of weaving around behind, even though he's not part of that battle. And that's just A, get another perspective on things, and B, maybe you get in the mirrors as well of the person behind you, and you can actually intimidate them a little bit. The 18 coming up the inside now of Kenan Miller. They're going to go side by side through that one. Looks like they're still even. Ron Adam Duvall and Kenan Miller still side by side into the next corner here. This happens around here a lot. You sort of get landlocked almost with someone side by side through here. You have to sort it out by the apex, though, or you will lose time to those cars behind you. And it looks like almost going to get that one sorted out, but did lose a bit of time.
Yeah, it can be quite the slippery slope here at the Red Bull Ring. These battles can get a little bit too hair-raising, and eventually things will fall apart for those drivers. They're going to lose out on a boatload of time, probably lose out on a boatload of spots. Thankfully, though, for Miller and Duvall, they were able to settle things out pretty easily. Not too much harm done there. However, James McDonald and Jason Green are right there. This is a good opportunity here for JG2 to try and make some inroads in that championship. It's really, we're expecting it to be him and Stephen Case battling it out for the top spot, he says, as Kayla Mikowicz still leading this race. As yeah, there you can see him right now in that number 76 car. We're going to say that he is going to be a spoiler in those two's championship fights. So keep an eye on Mikowicz throughout this campaign here through the summer here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. He's not fully on an island of his own, but he's definitely building out a bit of a peninsula for himself. 1.4 seconds of margin between he and Skylar Vickroy, holding on to second.
Yeah, definitely out
that
there.
With James McDonald.
Oh, James McDonald here had an incident we're hearing in the background here. So, oh, and he's unfortunately going to get got into. Not exactly sure. That was Duvall just behind him. So the 26, unfortunately, going to get just a little poke there. Doesn't look like he's got any damage. I don't think Duvall really took any either. We're going to get an onboard here with Duvall and see. Yeah, and unfortunately, just kind of getting their braking a little bit wrong there, maybe from Duvall, maybe a little bit inviting on the inside there, and unfortunately, the door ever closing, and he's going to almost lose the front wing of his car. But back to Keelan Mikowicz leading here. Bit of a masterclass here today around Red Bull Ring for sure. He's been able to hold it together, actually get the positions back here, and now lead the race from Skylar Vickroy. It's only about 1 second ahead, though, 1.5-ish seconds ahead. That's definitely within margin of a tiny mistake to be in draft range again, and we do still have some time left in this race, so doesn't have it completely locked down at the moment, but he's looking pretty clean out there for sure. And like you said, he is going to be an upset this year for our usual suspects for sure, and we love seeing that here at SMB for sure. We love seeing that at SRG as well, that they're out there, and it's not going to be the same race winner every time. Case struggling this season. Last race as well, struggling. Had a bunch of incidents, unfortunately, and now on the struggle bus again here in 18th on the makeup tour, trying to figure out what he can do to try to hold his championship together. And Jason Green out there up in 9th place, doing his best to make sure that he can get him and a bunch of cars in between him and Case before the end. 15 owes him absolutely nothing. Nathan Perkins there, we saw just on our shots. It owes him nothing either. He's oh no, Cotcher's gonna lose it on those new 3D curbs we were talking about. You know, I believe he even had a post or two with alarm bells and everything around it, how nasty those curbs can be. And there it is. Unfortunately, that one's going to come true for him, and he is going to end up sideways with a wing missing, Ron.
Yes, Chris Wang also running into trouble in the exact same corner. Here it is.
Oh,
Runs
no.
wide shortly after the Cotcher incident. Thankfully avoids the barrier, but does turn his tires
Good
into
control.
rectangles, trying to lock it down. That is going to be disastrous for Chris Wang, who sinks his way down the running order as a result of that incident. I was going to say, not only was it the curb heading out of turn number 4 there, it's also the fact the track falls away from you so much through there. Very easy for the car to loop around with the weight transfer. I love this Dallara F3 car, but this car does not really respond too well to extreme weight transfers. When the track falls away from you, it's not going to take too kindly to feeling all of a sudden weightless as it heads its way through a bend. We do have this battle though right now for P10, 11, and 12. It's Enrique Vela, Adam Duvall, and James McDonald. McDonald still looking to crawl his way back from the cellar after the incident through turn number 3 a bit earlier on here in this race. Vela, the paint scheme master here in the SRG world. We always like seeing some of the Enrique Vela paint schemes, along with Tom Went and the other fine folks over at TW3 that make some of the other paint schemes possible here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Vela currently holding on to a spot inside the top 10 right now, really looking good right now in that number 35 machine, as Duvall a little bit squirrely as he headed his way out of turn number 7, little hop, skip, and a jump over that cactus curb. And right now, James McDonald looking to get a move done very, very soon. Doesn't go for it into the penultimate turn, or the final turn for that matter. Don't want to go for a move here, but I know McDonald is certainly eyeballing it.
Oh, and you can see that curb almost tripping up Duvall just in front of him. Some great shots here we're getting with our Whiplash sim cams and Mike Braun here on the buttons and knobs, giving us all those beauty pictures today. Some pretty cool. Honestly, I love that they've added a little more texture, let's call it. Well, it actually is maybe too much texture for some of these cars out there to this track, and it's just given it's even harder now. It's an even harder prospect now when you come here. Maybe no more as hard as it's going to be in with these F3 cars that are very stiff, like you were mentioning, Ron. They're stiff, they're low. You know, they are a little bit out of model now as well. They've been around iRacing for quite a while. They're probably going to get replaced at some point, and you know, like I was saying last time there, it is nice to be able to use them for another season here, because we aren't going to get to use them forever. But they are not meshing well with this course out here. Getting a replay now. Jose Navas Molina gonna get a big spin. Looks like, again, maybe tripped over the pedals a little bit there, a little indecisive about that car on the inside and whether or not he was going to take it wide or cut in. Or it's so easy to do around here at low speed in these stiff cars, isn't it, Ron?
Yeah, that it certainly is. I will still say that I adore these cars with all my heart. I am hoping, deep down in my heart, I am hoping that F1 licensing agreements and all that stuff are so much of a headache for iRacing that they just keep this car going and going and going for many, many moons to come. I know that one day my beloved will be replaced, but I'll hold out hope for as long as I can. Side by side for 4th, Velasco and Lynn heading down into turn number 3. This is uncomfortable for Max Lotto, who's always been sweeping around the outside, was crowded down there on the bottom, but able to get a respectable exit heading out of the turn. Velasco, though, with that farther out approach, with a bit more room there, was able to get the nose out through there, not able to clear him fully down into turn number 4 as Max Lotto punching at there, a whole shot through the braking zone, and he gets 4th.
Yeah, great textbook, super clean pass there. Velasco as well, super clean driver out there. Lets that pass. I wouldn't say he let it happen there for sure. He's definitely fighting, of course, but he's not going to fight so hard that it ends up being detrimental to him. He's still in the draft. He's still able to attack Lotto here, probably down the front straightaway if he plays his cards right. So going to stay in touch. We'll keep an eye on this battle as well. Some really good battles on this feature race run. Perhaps the prediction there of them finding a little bit of pace out there, as well as that flipped grid, has really changed up this race a little bit from the first one. So it is a little bit more spaced out now, but we're almost done this one with about 5 minutes left. It's really just down to, you can see those numbers again on our timing tower, our closest battles there between Isaac Gardner, I believe that's in Kenan Miller in front of him, and then we have a couple more battles that are a little bit close, but not quite as close as this one. So this one's going to be, you know, in draft range. You could probably get him down this straightaway if you wanted to. you could probably make it happen. Isaac Gardner, actually one of our new drivers here on SRG, putting a great race in tonight in the Lego car. He's going to have a look up the inside, maybe think a little better of that one, not get the optimal exit, and Kenan Miller's going to hold on to that one. Has a little more experience perhaps in this car, didn't let that one phase him at all. But Isaac Gardner putting in a pretty good first showing here tonight.
Yeah, so Isaac Gardner there in that Lego machine. It's interesting to see him running out here on the racetrack right now. We've seen that Lego scheme before there for the 5, and I swear I've seen him before, but I also there's like a 50-50 chance. There's a 50-50 chance that if you click on an iRacing broadcast, I am probably on it. So I probably recognize his name from somewhere else, that or I'm just, having some sort of hallucination. I was talking about Penguin Meat a matter of about 12 minutes ago. We cannot rule anything out. As Isaac Gardner is still holding on to 5th, trying to apply this pressure onto Kenan Miller. This battle for 6th may get a little bit dicey here as Gardner going to look for it down into turn number 1. This is an on zone to try and get the move done because it is so shallow on exit as he actually gets it done. Well held from Gardner. He jumps into 6th. Miller, though, going to be right back in the slipstream. Going to look to try and get the move done once again. Will he get a good exit? Closes up that gap by a 1/10 of a second already. Closes it more. Looking for it around the outside. Down into turn number 3. Not able to get it done, but, Kenan Miller is going to be eyeballing it here very, very soon. If these two drivers do battle out hard, you got to keep your eye on that number 160 machine. Jason Green there in the back of shot. He's only 9/10 to a second off of Kenan Miller. He, I think, is going to try and get a good run of form here in this race. Josh, we have covered Jason Green in the Weekend Warriors for many, many moons now. We know the kind of driver he is. We know the kind of guy he is. Very calculated, very sharp behind the wheel of a racing car. I always say there's a distinction between a fast race car driver and a smart race car driver. Jason Green, I'm not saying that he isn't quick, because he certainly is, but he is a smart racing driver. There's a reason why fast drivers usually score just a handful of championships, and the smart and fast drivers are usually legends of their sport. Not calling Jason Green a legend, I'm calling him a good driver. He is smart. He knows how to tackle these races very, very well. So he's going to look at those two battling, although the gap has drawn out between those drivers. He's just going to use that as an opportunity to try and reel it in a little bit more as we get towards the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of a legend of the Weekend Warriors, for sure. I think he's pretty close to having legend status over there, for sure. And yeah, like you said, he's a bit of a metronome out there for sure. You're not going to see too many low percentage moves, let's call them, out of Jason Green. He's going to go out there and he's going to clip laps away. If you see him in your rearview mirror, it's probably going to get bigger. And that's what Kenan Miller's dealing with right now. Also embracing the race really well there too, Kenan, with his pass. Isaac Gardner getting by him there, not putting up too much of a fight. And the reason he's doing that isn't because he gave up. It's because he knows that Jason Green's also behind him, and if he gives up too much time, it's just going to happen quicker. He might be able to hold him off here still. He's got enough time, or maybe one more lap here. He's got to hold him off. And he's able to do that. If he would have really fought for that position, he'd probably already be by him here. So that's Kenan Miller thinking in the car as well back there. And that's going to be our closest fight on the track. Our white flag now for Kalen Mikowitz. Put on an absolute clinic here so far. Only one more lap. He has to hold it together. Skylar Vickroy as well. Great race today. Chris Eggert going to lose that advantage from that early excellent braking into those first two corners there, leading the entire pack around this racetrack for the first few laps there. But great run for him as well here in third place. He's going to hold on to that one more lap. Max Lotto as well, getting some passes done tonight to get him up into fourth place. Velasco in fifth as well, holding on to that one. It's a good position for him as well. But back to this fight, Ron. Not sure if he's going to be able to get it done here. Kenan Miller looks like he's nailed his marks here on this last lap, and it doesn't look like he's close enough, at least at this moment, to get it done.
Yeah, 0.7 of a second. I think that JG2 would need some sort of big heave-ho in the middle sector to try and pull this one out. I do want to give some love before we get to the checkered flag of Max Lotto, the driver of the number 9 car, slotted in fourth, and Joshua Corwin in the 37 machine, currently running in ninth. Those two drivers are up 15 spots from where they started in this race. I nearly just jinxed it. Max Lotto just had an incident. He headed his way through turn turn number 6. That would have been absolutely tragic there. Still not out of the woodwork just yet as Velasco got to try and reel in that gap as they head their way through the final turn. Speaking of, Galen Mikowitz has been able to do it as he adds his way across a stripe. As Mikowitz grabbing the victory here at the Red Bull Ring. Skylar Fitzroy, good run of form here in this event, ends up there in P2. Chris Eggert's going to round at your podium in third. The star of the night, though, Galen Mikowitz, grabbed both poles so far this season, grabbed his first sprint race win earlier on tonight, grabs his first feature win as well. Mikowitz sweeps the board.
Yeah, what an upset there from maybe our usual storyline here on SRG F3. Kalen Mikowitz has definitely shattered that. He shot some holes in our storyline for sure. Really good performances in the first 2 races here, and none as much as today. Wow, that was quite the clinic. Michelle Lynn going to escape those falling anvils with precision there and end up in 14th. Stephen Case back. He's going to be able to hold together 15th place, so whatever points that will get him, he's going to grab onto those with everything he has and see if he can't continue that on. Jason Cotcher having a bit of an interesting race here today as well, a bit of an anvil or two on him. The curbs being today's show for sure. Today's drama was the curbs around here, definitely taking out a bunch of our different drivers, but Kalen Mikowitz not putting a foot wrong over any one of those curbs, able to bring it home. I'm sure he got fastest lap. I'm sure he, or at least maybe not under draft. Perhaps he didn't get fastest lap. Actually, I didn't actually catch that. And no, Max and Lotto is going to get it. And that's pretty much going to be down to draft down one of these straightaways, you would think. So he's able to get a really good lap time out there as well, putting on a clinic today in the monster car for sure, Ron. Excited to see the rest of this season and who has the answers for Kalen Mikowitz? Who has the answer for Stephen Case on those tracks that we know he's fast at? And are these other guys going to have an answer for him then? It's really blown the whole discussion wide open.
Yeah, we'll just have to find out who has what to be able to do what when. Got it? I certainly didn't. We'll take a look at your results here in a few moments' time as we see these drivers' formation flying there on that start-finish straightaway and burning it down here. Kalen Mikowitz celebrating what was a brilliant drive here throughout the night, giving us a spin cycle treatment here on the cams. Yeah, very, very nice cams. I gotta say, talking of clean, is very, very close between he and Skylar Fitzroy right there behind as they nearly came
good job, guys. Good job.
Fitzroy able to avoid an incident. I was gonna say 0 incident points throughout this race is what we're hearing in the YouTube chat, which is absolutely absurd. We'll take a look at your race results. So Kalen Mikowitz grabs the victory over Skylar Fitzroy there in P2. Chris Eggert is in third. Max Lotto will come home in fourth with Alex Velasco there in P5. Isaac Gardner will be in sixth in front of Kevin Miller there in P7. Jason Green will be in ninth with Josh Corwin and Enrique Vela completing your top 10.
And then 11th, we have James McDonald. In 12th, Adam Duvall, Nathan Perkins able to pull it back together there for race 2. I'm not sure, you went down to the infield medical center how he got released from there after that first crash, but he's going to come back in 13th. Michelle Lynn in 14th. Stephen Case 15th. Adrian Lopez 16th. Culker and Dillon 17th. Diego Posada will be in 18th. And 19th, we have Jason Cotcher. He's going to bring that one home after a little bit of an anvil there for him. Unfortunately, those curbs, again, being the drama of tonight for so many drivers out there. Chris Wang will bring home 20th. Thomas Brashear will bring home 21st. 1 lap down, we'll have Jose Navas Molina, Tyrone Da Silva 9 laps down, and Terry Crouch doesn't look like he took the field on this one.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Terry Crouch got caught up in a second incident there. It was heading out of turn number 1 where drama broke out for him. Unfortunate to see him run into issues throughout this race. But with all the action taken care of, we're going to move off into the interviews now. And man that I want to have a chat with is somebody that I think I last had a chat with was way back in 2024 after he did well in an LMP2 race. I want to have a chat with Skylar Fitzroy, our P2 finisher here tonight. Was able to put on a rousing drive to get a good result and do it clean as well. Skylar Fitzroy now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Skylar, welcome in. First off, welcome well done on some very well executed runs throughout this race, able to get P2 at the end of this feature. And we're hearing from a little birdie in the YouTube chat as well. Were you able to do that with 0 incident points?
I got 0 incident points. I have no idea. Me and this track do not get along. This is one of the tracks where I started running downhill, making a bunch of mistakes, and actually left the F3 league. Not because anything the F3 league was doing, because I was just losing my mind racing. And me and this track have always had problems. So to come away with the second place, I looked up, I was at 0x. I was like, no way, how? And consistently slow laps will get you, places sometimes when you do that. You just kind of run your own race, and hey, it kind of just came to me. What can I say?
Hey, there are 2 times where consistency matters: racing and buying a jar of mayonnaise. It worked out well for you here. Get a good result. I do want to ask you about the adjustment here into the F3 cars. I alluded to this as I was dragging you in here. I think the last time I got the chance to interview you was in the old Operation Motorsports League, way back in the day when you were running an LMP2 car. This was way back in, I think, 2024, if my memory serves me correctly. I want to ask you about this F3 machine, because as a Formula car driver, I know whenever I try and hop into a sports car, it's always a bit of a transition. How is it for you trying to against this, F3 car from maybe having a bit more of a sports car background?
Yeah, so I've actually did the Formula for a while now. I came in, I did with the first 2 seasons, I think, F3 with SRG, and then I took a bit of a break. I was almost gone for about a year. So I started adapting to the car. And actually, about the same time I was starting to learn formulas when I got into the LMP2, and because of the downforce and getting used to that, it actually kind of helped me out get used to both of them, right? There's a few things that transfer. One, you got to be good on the brakes. Like, that's number one with these cars. You really have to nail that. And then you really need to understand taking care of your tires when using downforce. When I figure all that out, I will let you know, because I'll probably be on the first step instead of the bridesmaid.
Well, we appreciate the honesty there, but Skylar, I do want to ask you about the next round of the championship. We've had 2 F1 tracks to start us off. We're going to be heading to another one, Silverstone, next time out for race number 3. What are your thoughts on there?
I haven't raced on Silverstone very much. It's great for downforce cars. It's such a big track. I do fear we might get a little bit of a spread, but there are some very good drafting opportunities, so we may also have a train or 3 or 4 cars at any given time. It's kind of an unknown for me. I do hope it goes well, but I think lap times, because the track is so big, you'll start to see quite a big variance between even the top 10 positions possibly.
Yeah, and that is a stunner of a racetrack. So really looking forward to seeing that race next time out, and hoping that you have a clean run through there as well, Scholar. But before we let you go and celebrate this P2 run and a 0x throughout a very challenging race with killer curbs, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, for this one, I'm going to give a special shout out to my wife. Many people do know, some people don't. We had our second kid back in March. 5 days later, she was in the hospital fighting for her life. She was on life support. All of her major organs had shut down, and it was looking a little grim. But she kicked ass. She came back strong. She beat everything, even the odds against her. And she's back home now, watching not 1 child, but 2 children, while I come in here as a grown man with my internet stranger friends and race cars with. I couldn't really be happier or more thankful that I've gotten back to this normalcy in my life after everything that happened over the last couple of months. To be back here amongst friends in the F3 in iRacing, it means a lot, and I'm just really, really excited to continue this season.
Well, after some jokes throughout this interview, Scholar, that was a very touching way to round things off. Happy to hear that your wife is doing better. Happy to have you here in the booth, and we hope to see you next time out there at Silverstone.
As I used to sign off, hopefully I'll be up 1 step higher.
Amen. Scholar, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time, Matt.
Take care.
And that right there was Skylar Vickroy, our P2 finisher. Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you to have a chat with our race winner of Kalen Mikowitz.
Yeah, absolutely. Kalen, a bit of a clinic out there today around the Red Bull Ring. Not an easy prospect here. The curbs being one of the biggest stories of tonight, taking multiple drivers out. You know, we were talking about it even before the race. There were messages pinging around the SMB Discord about the curbs tonight, and they definitely lived up to it. But you did not put a foot wrong tonight. Is this a track that you had to practice a bunch for there, or is this perhaps you know, one that just kind of meshes with you and it worked out tonight?
I had to practice quite a bit. I think I did maybe 2 to 3 hours. This track, surprisingly enough, I feel with the curbs added is easier because, you know, you don't have to use all those track limits. The minute you get on the red stuff, you know, you're gonna hit roughly the same pace as long as you touch it. Versus before you had to like track out all the way to the grass every single time. So in that sense, I think it felt easier, and I think also psychologically, people I was racing with were very afraid of touching the curves when going side by side because, you know, you can definitely push someone off of track limits and then they skateboard off into the gravel. So yeah, this was definitely a track. I like short tracks. You know, this is relatively short, not much to memorize, and you can just kind of get, once you get a rhythm, you get there as long as you don't get thrown off by the curbs. So that's kind of like why I like this track.
Awesome. Some great insight there as well with not having to use that track out. I actually really like your line of reasoning there. I think that checks out for sure. I know one of the hardest parts of this track is actually that, isn't it? It's knowing how much curb to use and how much not to use most of the time, and you're having to track out so much everywhere that it does actually becomes almost a bit of a nuisance. It's a bit of a bummer sometimes. And now that you're having to stay on the inside, at least in this particular machinery here, it perhaps made it look or made it a little bit easier. And that's a great mindset to take going into the race. Certainly worked out for you today as well, and kind of blowing that narrative apart of Case taking all of these races, having some trouble in the last 2 races. Jason Green taking the last one there, and you finding podiums, a bunch of podiums here in these first 2 races. So before I let you go, maybe you can let us know what track you're looking forward to the most this year, and who you'd like to thank.
Actually, I haven't looked at the schedule that much, but
I put you on the spot there. That's okay.
I do need to practice Adelaide because I never actually run it.
Nice.
Usually I just use it as a drop week because that thing just seems so intimidating, and I've watched streamers do it in P Cup, and I think also the issue is with like I don't know what iRacing did to the netcode. I know they did Anycast, but for example, like today when I was driving behind Skylar, his car was like shifting left and right by like half a wheel width, you know, so it's kind of hard to race people because you don't know if they're taking the inside or it's like the netcode's moving them. And I know
makes it
on a street track like Adelaide, people can look to smack the wall, but they didn't touch it. They're completely fine. So that one's the one I'm kind of worried about, and I got to practice. But otherwise, I think with the schedule I have, the practice I can do, this is going to be hopefully a good season for me if I can keep it clean, not have the bad luck Steven gets. But yeah,
absolutely, yep, awesome. I'll let you
shout out
a few people here.
Yes. Thanks to my dad. You know, wish him had a great Father's Day, but you know, I'd like to thank him again for always watching my performances, and I hope this race was exciting. Yeah.
Some right on, some kind words there as well, and it was an exciting one. You'll definitely like watching that one back. There's all kinds of stuff happening behind you there for sure, but we'll catch you at the next one, Kalen, and great win today.
Thank you, Joshua.
And that right there was our race winner in pretty much every single race we had tonight. Kayla Mikowitz joining us here in the booth. Let's round things off, shall we, by having a chat with the captain himself, Jason Cotcher, now joining us here from SRG. Jason, welcome in. First off, I want to ask you about this race. We were warned about the curbs around this place. It looked like the curbs may have come back to bite you heading off through turn number 4 there. How did you find this combination here at the Red Bull Ring?
Yeah, hey Ron, happy Wednesday, everybody. Well, I was fine until temperature went up and tire grip went down and red mist went up, and that's a bad combination. I love racing Adrian. I think he's a little bit faster. If I'm ahead of him, it's always a great fight. We fought in the sprint. We fought for 11 laps in the feature, and then I just binned it in front of him. I mean, truth be told, my apologies to him. He deserved a better result. I wish there was a little bit more room. Once I got sideways, he was almost able to miss me, but totally my fault. Yeah, the curbs are a challenge around here. Before, they were just kind of visual markers, and tonight they felt like mountains. They're just so tall that it narrowed up the circuit a lot, because before you could hang a tire over here and a tire over there, and you could buy yourself kind of an extra half a car width. But with this new upgrade, it's realistic. I don't knock it. I love iRacing. That, you know, if that is the circuit, that is the circuit. But the combination of the temperature and the new curbs was a little bit much for me tonight, I guess. I was nervy to start the feature from the front. As soon as I crossed the finish line of the sprint and saw that I was sixth, that was a minor panic. And then at the end of the first lap of the feature, my wheelbase blinked and I could barely make the last corner. So I was just kind of fighting for my life the whole time, but my apologies to Adrian.
Yeah, certainly considering the circumstances, it's understandable why things were a little bit hard to manage here in this race. You know, in our little pre-broadcast jibber jabber session between all of us here in the booth, we were wondering exactly which turn was going to be affected the most by the curbs. I was hypothesizing that it'd probably be turns number 6 and 7. As it turns out, turn number 4 may have been a good theory there as well. I do want to ask you about a certain member of the Sim Racers group world, Kukaran Dylan, indirectly in an odd sense being the sponsor of this broadcast. We got it all together here today. I want to ask you about Dylan, one of the I wouldn't say newer members in the SRG world, but one that has come around as we've been broadcasting them here on SMB.
Yeah, I love that guy. He walked into SRG with a couple of guys that he worked with, and I think they ran 2 hours. And then they said, okay, we'll see you later. And then a couple of hours, Kay showed back up that same day. So I knew I had the hook and the fish with that guy that day. But he's just a joy. He's a great friend. When we do in-house events, he's always buying food. And yeah, what more can you say about the guy? He's always here. He's always supportive. He's expressed an interest in sponsoring the Sim Racers group, league events and such. So we thought we'd get the ad up there, get the logo up there for him, and yeah, we'll go from there. Well, I mean, everybody loves Kay. He's an outstanding member of the community, and we're fortunate to have him.
It was awesome to do that ad read a little bit earlier on here in this broadcast. Jason, I do want to ask you about the next round of the championship here in the F3s. We're going to be heading to Silverstone in 1 week's time. What are your thoughts on there?
Should be a good combination. These cars really fly when the track, lets them stretch their legs, those GP circuits in particular. Obviously, Red Bull Ring is as well, but we're kind of having a laugh that the curbs like walls, maybe this is like mini Adelaide, mini street circuit, just because there's no runoff. If you miss it by this much, you're in big trouble. Silverstone should be significantly faster. Yeah, it's a great schedule this year. I'm looking forward to Road America, Portimao, Barber pops up there in the schedule as well, and obviously Monza is usually a classic for drama given that design. But yeah, so Silverstone should be a lot of fun. I'll be curious to see what time of day that is. That's a very different circuit, as much many of them are, from temperature, grippier, cooler, or more slippery in the heat. So we'll see what iRacing cooks up for weather there as far as cloud cover and such, but should be a great time.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it next time out. But Jason, before we let you go and celebrate this run through surviving the Red Bull Ring, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, always SMB, it's just such a high quality production, and it's just getting better all the time. I just love watching the races at night and sharing it with friends and family as we all do. Sim racing is cool, but when it's broadcasted like that with SMB, it makes it special. My admins, as always, Tyler, Case, and Alex, the whole community for coming out. Kay tonight, man of the hour. Really fun to see that come together. And yeah, girlfriend Terry, dog Luna, and everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in 1 week's time.
And thank you very much for the kind words and the hard work as always, Jason. And we'll see you next time out at Silverstone.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. Catch you next week.
And that right there was Jason Cotcher, Captain Cotcher, series admin here in the SRG world. Have a lot of action coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. SKR is actually the show leading into this one. We'll have to change the graphics around here soon. Next time you'll be able to catch that championship will be next Wednesday, July the 1st here on SMB when the series rocks up to Monza. Of course, we've got the F4s coming up for you next week at Road Atlanta. These F3s will be back here on Slow Motion Broadcasting at Silverstone. You'll be also able to see the Weekend Warriors Summer Shootout Series. That will be the Formula V's racing this upcoming Saturday as well. American Muscle Series action returning here to the channel on Tuesday, July the 7th. Of course, you'll be able to catch all the action here from the SRG world every single Tuesday and Wednesday night throughout this season. Quickly, before I go to you, Josh, here for the final thoughts, I want to share this story before it's done. I want to, share this a bit earlier on in the broadcast, but didn't really get the opportunity to. It was so exciting out there here tonight. During the SKR broadcast, the first broadcast of Sim Night Racing here on the channel, my father called up SKR, legitimately called them up during the broadcast, left a voicemail saying, this is, this is Ron Maunz. I'm the dad of the lead commentator on the broadcast that's going on. Want to welcome you into the slow motion broadcasting world. They called him back. They called him back. It was the owner of SKR's wife who called my dad back midway during that broadcast. I had a conversation. Very happy to have the SKR folks here. A sim racing center actually based not too far away from me, right outside the city of Philadelphia in Lansdale. But with the promo out of the way here, Josh, I want to ask you about your final thoughts on this race before we wrap things up.
Yeah, I mean, amazing race tonight. The story in the F3 series is writing itself again, and it may have started out a few seasons ago. There, everybody's a bit shaky legs, and it's just so awesome to see it. And we're getting real storylines and real drama out there. So I'm looking forward to Silverstone and Mugello and all of these tracks we'll be going visiting in the next little bit and seeing exactly who is going to end up on top, because it's not quite as cut and dry as we may have thought it was going into round one this season, Ron.
Yeah, we've got the storylines developing, the tension is brewing, and folks, we're only a sixth of the way through this summer season here. Season 3 of 2026 here in the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship. Hope you have enjoyed the broadcast and coverage here tonight. If you have, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But after this broadcast here tonight for round number 2 of the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship here at the Red Bull Ring, that will just about do it. Our thanks once again to Dillon Motorsports Tire and Auto for sponsoring this broadcast here of the SRG F3 series, and our thanks to you for tuning into the action. But for myself, Ron Maunz, Josh Wilkie joining me in the commentary booth, and Mike Braun working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.